Hello all you huggable lollipops, I am Joseph the Huggist, and today I'm playing Star Wars Episode 1, Jedi Power Battles, and I want to talk about Star Wars Episode 1, The Menace, and I know that not that many people are going to watch this review. I just want to get better at movie reviews, and the only way to do that, for me personally, is for practice. And I figure with today being May 5th and all, it's an appropriate movie to review. Episode 1, rewatching it was at times pretty fun, especially for my favorite scene, which I'll talk about, and the pod racing scene, which is always fun to rewatch. But I actually kept notes for this one because I was able to. I have the movie. And unlike being normally at the... By the way, Plo Koon is my favorite Jedi from the first three movies. It's one of the few things I actually love about the first three movies. But I kept track of how many times I wanted to shut the movie off, or how many times I lost interest. And not counting a lot of parts. Some parts I kept as just one tally. But 11 times I wanted to shut this movie off. At least. It was exhausting. But I want to talk about the actors / characters. I didn't put any time into remembering their real names. Not all of them. But I want to talk about three actors. Actor 1, actor / character, Jake Lloyd and Anakin Skywalker. To be honest, I actually didn't find his performance too annoying. He was a kid, and he acted like a kid. He acted like a stupid kid. It was fine for me. And when I originally saw it, I'm old enough to remember seeing this one in movies. And I'm probably around his age. And I didn't have any problem with it back then either. I've seen this movie more times than I'm willing to admit. Especially from when I was a kid, I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I've never had a problem with his performance. What makes his performance stand out is the actor that I want to talk about next is Liam Neeson, and as Qui-Gon Jinn, and every other actor in this movie almost everyone was so wooden and showed no emotion. It was like they could have cast Keanu Reeves in it, and they probably would have gotten more emotion. That probably had, if that was the directing part, not like the director, George Lucas, did an awful job at getting the emotion out of them, which is what really needed to be a good film. Any good film needs emotion. Absolutely any good film. Some sort of emotion. Actor number 3 is, I'm not sure who played him, Darth Maul. The best part of this movie, in my opinion, is Darth Maul. He doesn't say a lot, but you don't need to say a lot to be intimidating, as shown in this movie. You can just look like a badass and act like a badass and become a badass. Every time he was on screen, I am captivated. Here I am playing as Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't know why I didn't pick Plo Koon. Whenever I play this game, I've never beaten this game. It's just like the movie, it's pretty god-awful. I play as Plo Koon. So, my favorite part of the movie is... It's not the pod race. The pod race is a close second. But at this point in my life, I've seen the pod race at least 20, 30 times. And it's lost some of its excitement for me. My favorite part of the movie, still, to this day, the only reason I'll watch it, and I don't even need to watch it, I can throw in a clip, is Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi versus... Did I say his name wrong? I might have said his name wrong. But Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Maul. From the moment where the door opens... From the moment where the door opens and Duel of the Fates, I believe is the name of the song, starts playing, I become entranced and I cannot look away from the screen. It's one of the most exciting parts in cinema, especially for the Star Wars movies. When I remember seeing that as a kid, right after the theater, we went to Walgreens so I could get a Darth Maul action figure. And I still have that action figure to this day. Don't have the lightsaber anymore. I wish I had that. But that scene, I cannot find the words to describe it. Is a infinitely captivating scene for me. It's always interesting. I said that weird. Interesting? Interesting. It's always interesting. Now, my least favorite scene, and I'm not even going to put it as scene, just my least favorite part of the movie are the Gungans. They, not just Jar Jar, all of the Gungans in general drive me completely mad. I always want to rip my eyes out, rip my ears out, and potentially... Would I take a trip down that lane? No, I probably won't kill myself, but it's pretty damn close. I really hate the Gungans. And I don't know what... I know Lucas tried to put those in there for comic relief, but it didn't work. When I was a kid, I remember this movie and seeing it in theaters. I hated the Gungans back then. I never found them interesting. And I was his target audience at the time. Bam, bam. I really should use the block button. And I was his target audience, and it failed. And I think... I don't have a perfect memory, but within that seeing this the first time in the theater, the only part where the Gungans gotta laugh is when Jar Jar was accidentally killed that droidicar. No! That is the only part that got in the theater that I can remember got a laugh. What the hell? Why did it just appear like that? Do they have cloaking technology that I don't know about? That is the only part, and I actually have, or I used to, I had a Jar Jar Binks action figure, and it was from Attack of the Clones. And a few years ago, there was someone that I worked with that never saw the Star Wars movies, and I lent them the entire collection to the time, and this was before episode... This was before episode 7 came out. and it was before Episode 7 was announced. He watched all of them in a row, and the only thing that he had complained about it was he hated Jar Jar Binks, which I can understand. So I actually found my old Star Wars figures collection and made sure the next time on his desk he had that little action figure, and it's been on that desk ever since he left. He quit and he just left it there. I don't want it back. It can stay there for the rest of the time. Now there is another character that becomes bigger in the upcoming films in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Mace Windu, even from that first movie on, is an arrogant bastard. He is my least favorite Jedi. He's just an arrogant bastard. There's no way for me to describe him. When we get to, if I do decide to do a practice retro review to get better at reviews on Attack of the Clones, I can talk about it more in detail there, but I never liked him. I love Samuel Jackson. I never liked him. I have 6 notes written down for times I was confused. Why does the Queen need to sign a treaty to make the blockade legal? I still don't get that to now. It's a blockade and it's an illegal invasion. When Germany invaded Poland, did they make Poland sign a treaty to make it legal? I don't think they did. I'm not an expert at history, but I'm pretty sure they didn't. What they really could have said is a signing of a surrender treaty, and a surrender agreement, and they've taken over the territory or something. I don't know why they needed this. The terminology for that was a lot of stupid. Not a little, it was a heck of a lot stupid. The other thing I never got, and they get into it more in Attack of the Clones, but the Queen being elected. How do you elect a queen? A queen is a title that is either you get by marriage or birthright. Not really birthright if you're a princess, but you inherit that title. You don't get elected that title. I'm not a history of the world. I've never heard of a king being elected. That part was always confused me. In the very beginning, on the Trade Federation ship, here's another thing that confused me. How are the Jedi able to run so fast from the droid cars? It's like a second, and they're down the hallway. Whenever I see that scene, it always messes with my eyes. I don't get it. I just don't. And there's a lot. I limited myself to 6 on this because there's a lot of this movie I just don't get. It's like Christian Glover's Clowny Clown Clown and the rest of his album. It's completely catches me off guard. Number 4, when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon free the pilots, why do I think it's like 4 or 5 pilots run back towards the city and not get on the plane? I mean, on the plane. Why don't they get on the spacecraft with Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and and the Queen, running back to a city that's being invaded doesn't seem like the smartest move. Me personally, I wouldn't do it if I was no use at all, and I would be a drain on the resources. I'd still run into that spacecraft. From every time I watch it, I look at those pilots run into the city. I'm like, man, that's stupid. Maybe they had families and they just couldn't leave their families. But even so, if your main purpose is as a citizen of Naboo is to serve the Queen, and if they're like, let's just say that they're not private pilots, that they're government-funded pilots, then they should be making sure that the Queen gets to safety. Their stupid elected Queen gets to safety. Makes no sense. Number 5. If the whole idea is to keep the Queen safe, why would she command the Jedi to take her into Tatooine, the galaxy's ghetto? Maybe she felt safer going with, wow, I am getting my Rudy Tooty booty kicked right here. These are just normal droids. Oh man, I'm dead. I am super dead. Yep. Why would she order him to go into the galaxy's ghetto? I don't get that. And yes, I did repeat that because I didn't like the way I said it the first time. Maybe she feels safer with Qui-Gon than she does with Obi-Wan, and she thought it would be a better idea to stick with him. But when I was a kid and I found out that Padme was the Queen, even back then it threw me off. It's a risky move that doesn't need to happen. Staying on the spacecraft is also a risky move, but one there's a variable that you can kind of control, and the other one you can't. It's stupid. And the sixth and final thing that I find confusing about this movie is after Qui-Gon Jinn sold the pod racer, did he go back to, oh, I forgot his name, Wando, and try to buy Anakin's mother? We learned from the pod racing scene that he lost a whole lot of money. I'm sure he could have offered the money for her to give her her freedom too, and then she could have gone to, potentially she could have gone to Coruscant or even Naboo and lived there and escaped the slave life. Then Anakin wouldn't be so concerned with checking on her in number 2, and he probably wouldn't have been drawn deeper into the dark side. Once again, it makes no sense to me, but that's just me. I'm not the one who wrote and directed this masterpiece of a piece of crap. I say that like I'm never gonna watch this movie. I'm probably gonna watch this movie like 5 more times this year. I'm not proud of that. So, those are the 6 things that I was confused about and didn't really find all that compelling. Now I'm going to IMDb right now. The plot of the movie. 2 Jedis escape a hostile blockade to find allies and come across a young boy who may bring balance to the Force, but long-dormant Sith resurface to claim their old glory. The plot of the movie on IMDb makes the movie sound way more interesting. It was not that interesting of a movie. The one of the highlights of the movie is the music. I absolutely love the music in this movie. They're not all winners like A New Hope and the original trilogy, but it's still pretty good. The special effects of the movie, it does look like a video game, but for the time period, it's actually the best looking special effects, computer generated special effects for that time period, in my opinion. The camera work is alright. There is no shaky cam. I really hate shaky cam. The lighting is also pretty bright. I can see everything. Those are some of the highlights of the movie. You can actually see and understand what's going on. If I was to recommend this movie to someone on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm always going to recommend it with a 5, with a personal message. If it's only a 5 if you plan on watching all of the Star Wars movies. If you don't plan on watching all of the Star Wars movies, then it's a 1. Some people like to watch, I believe it's episode 4 and 5, and then after episode 5 they like to watch 2 and 3, and then skip 1 altogether. I'm alright with that, but I do believe there are some important points to 1. And believe it or not, I think the politics of 1 is interesting. It shows you how politics can change the course of pretty much the world and the galaxy. On my personal ranking of 1 to 10, I give this movie a 7, which is a little high, but it gets that 7 on mainly the strength of Darth Vader. And it's still a very memorable movie. I wonder if the droid cards are just too expensive to produce for the Trade Federation. Because they're obviously more effective than the regular droids. There are 2 other things that, just watching this movie, that just hit me. One is, why was it so much easier for them to get back on Naboo instead of when it was to leave? One, I think that's because the Trade Federation was fearful of a pretty much of an inspection, and they wanted to get as many blockade ships as they could out of the areas to make it look less intimidating. And the other is, they already had control of the planet. They didn't need all those ships there. They were probably losing money having those ships there. Another thing is, when the droidecards have their shields up, are they like the Gungan shields where you can just put your blaster through your blaster and arm through the shield, and you can fire? Because that part also really pissed me. Try not to swear. Pissed me off. Personally, why is it the Gungan shields can keep out cannon fire, but they can't keep out droids? That seems like an ineffective shield design. I know the Gungans weren't made to be very intelligent, but that's not really great. In Black Panther, they didn't have their shields let people in. They needed to make an opening. I mean, they honestly could have done a little drill-like thing that goes underneath one of the parts and just goes right on side the other. I'm not explaining this well, but they could have done so many creative ways to get through that shield instead of just forcing its way through. They could even made the droids have some sort of shield of their own that makes an opening for that shield. It's stupid. There is a specific scene that I want to talk about, and I will in a few minutes. But overall I do like this movie. For me, the first 6 movies have a beautiful balance to them, and I always find it like either the good guys win, and I'm just gonna call them the Jedi, or either the Sith win. And in this one, I believe the Sith won enormously when they found Anakin. It's a huge win for the Sith, and it's a galaxy-changing event. By the way, Darth Maul is such a cool character that they retconned him dying, which is one of my favorite parts of him. Now he's in Solo, which I hope to get to, which is the second worst Star Wars movie. And he was in the Star Wars shows, which were pretty good. I love the Star Wars shows. I haven't gone through... I'm not a super Star Wars nerd, but I do like it enough to get in some of the audiobooks and read some of the comics. I did watch all of Rebels. I loved Rebels, and I liked the Clone Wars show to a part. I never watched the final 2 seasons. I should get onto that. Yay, I beat the level. I only died twice. Right. And I want to play that clip now.
Your permission, my master. I've encountered a vergence in the Force.
A vergence, you say?
Located around a person?
A boy. His cells have the highest concentration of midichlorians I have seen in a life form. It is possible he was conceived by the midichlorians.
Now, I'm just replaying the same gameplay footage because I didn't record enough. I wasn't going to throw the game back. I wasn't going to throw a game I hated back in just to record more footage. Maybe I'll just put a crazy filter on this to change it up a little. But that scene, to me, is one of the most important scenes in the entire franchise. Those scenes, sorry. I've never had the same point of view that most people have on those scenes. I was never really taught or grown up with religion. I had bigger problems to deal with when I was younger. Trying to overcome dyslexia for me was it's still a daily struggle. But my parents thought it was more important for me to focus on becoming a more independent person than me trying to focus on religion. So it was like that in our family. We just never focused on it. So from my point of view, I didn't even know that was the story of Jesus. From my point of view, I thought that she was saying that she was ashamed of Anakin's father and didn't want to share the information. From the pause in her voice about when she tried to answer that question, it was almost like she was trying to think of something. Maybe she was telling the truth, but I think that a Sith Lord had something to do with Anakin's birth. and she's just too ashamed to admit it to anyone, probably even herself. I'll never know the truth. It could have been in the EU. They could have made it Darth Vegas, made her pregnant by forming the Metachlorians, or even Darth Sidious could have done it. But I don't know. From my point of view, it always sounded like she was just ashamed of who the father was, because in real life, I've known plenty of women, when I was talking to them about their kids, when I asked them who their father is, they're like, there is no father. I did all the work. He was there for, I don't know how long it takes to get someone pregnant. I've never gotten anyone pregnant. He was there for that, and then he was gone. He didn't have anything to do with raising him. That's what I thought she meant. And then later, when I got more interested into the Star Wars, what other people's Star Wars opinions, that's what they were coming up, that it's a Jesus metaphor, and he's clearly Jesus. And to this day, I still don't see it like that. It's a personal, sorry, that's the. It's a hard time for me to believe that he just appeared. It's easier for me to think that she's just ashamed of whoever the father was. She was also trying to give Anakin the best possibility for escape off that world. She's a mother, and she would have done anything to get him out of the slave life and try to have a better life. If that means she had to lie, she had to lie. Which I can accept that. If George Lucas tells me tomorrow, if there's a report that, yeah, it was purely, he was purely just formed out of metachlorians, then I can accept that too. It doesn't bother me. Alright, with all of that being said, that is, I think, all the time I want to spend about talking about a movie that to this day I enjoy and don't enjoy. So thanks for watching the video. I really do want to get better at reviews and just get better at the whole YouTube thing. So if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I would love to hear them. Thanks, guys. Have some grape juice. I will see you later.